Well, hello there. Thank you for joining us. This is AM Talk here on the AM Show. Today, we discuss a matter that simply will not go away, and it's national security. Well, reports of assault and thievery by national security operatives have come up. We're told that there was a raid on 2 casinos in Asankragua on May 7, 2021. There are allegations that with guns and masked faces, the operatives raided a fuel station and a casino operated by some Chinese. They were also attacked. Allegedly, CCTV cameras were destroyed, lights went off, several quantities of gold were taken. This has led to a certain member of parliament petitioning the IGP to investigate the matter. Well, every now and then, because of national security, issues of 31st of January 2019 came up. That has to do with the Ayawaso West Wuogon issues that led to the Commission of Inquiry, the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry being set up. They made a number of recommendations. And we know that not all the recommendations were adopted. So a few of the things that I want to go through with you this morning as we discuss this matter with our guests. We're going to go through the Commission's recommendations and what was eventually adopted by government. So first, it recommended amongst many other things, and this is just the operational aspect of national security. That's where the highlight is. That police and national security should develop protocols for the assessment and rating of intelligence received and subsequent deployment of missions, if any. This recommendation was adopted. There was also the issue of no masked or hooded men should be used for civilian policing. This recommendation was outrightly rejected. There were some examples that were given. Not all operations can be carried out with unmasked faces, apparently. Well, there was also this recommendation, the standard rules and procedures for the issuance of weapons and ammunition to police officers and operatives of national security who are sent on missions, and accompanying rules of accountability for these weapons and ammunitions should be enforced. This recommendation was accepted in parts by the government. Operatives of the national security should be trained to internalize human rights rules, including the provisions on the fundamental human rights of the Constitution within their standard operating procedures. According to the white paper, this recommendation was adopted. Again, there must be strict adherence to the rules on searches and seizures, especially as regards to respect for the privacy of the citizen. A ministerial directive was recommended, must be issued, reminding all state operatives of the need to respect the citizens' privacy except as authorized by judicial orders. This was also happily, according to the white paper, adopted. Now, there was also another recommendation on the operation still of national security, that the SWAT team should be disbanded and operatives be reassigned as appropriate. This recommendation was rejected. Now, it was also recommended for support for special operations should be sought from the specialized units of the police directly as and when necessary. Again, this was rejected. So, this is what we're talking about today in terms of the recommendations, particularly with regards to the operational duties of national security and what government adopted and did not adopt. You know, every now and then when matters of national security comes up, people say that the Commission did such a fantastic work and made lots of recommendations, but sadly, not all were adopted. And that's why we come back to this issue of national security every now and then. So we're tracking where we are with this very latest with regards to national security. We'll discuss other matters, which includes, well, topical issue, Achimota School and the ruling and their reaction thereafter. My guest in the studio, they're happily seated. Mr. Roxy Nelson Dafeamekpor is Member of Parliament for South Dai. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
And also, He's a member of the Standing Committee, you're a member of the Public Accounts Committee and the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. Also joining us is Collins Adumaku Mensa, member of Parliament for Efija North. He's a member of the Finance Committee, and he will tell us what happened as the Health Committee met with the striking laboratory workers who now say, after what you told them, they've called up their strike. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Mama V.
Yes.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for being here. Yes. I want us to start.
And good morning to my constituents in South Dine. Peki Kwali Kwevetong. You love that.
I guess to your constituents in Kwabre.
Fija Kwabre.
Yes.
All right, great. I want us to start from national security, and that's why I did that analysis to put that conversation in proper perspective. There's always a link back to Ayawaso West Wuogon. Now it has happened to one of you, because it's a member of parliament that's petitioned the IGP. Where are we with that matter, Mr. Dafeamekpor?
Thank you. I think that national security has become a monster, a hydra-headed monster. You recall that when the commission's reports were released and the contents serialized by some of the media houses like you, government had to react by issuing a white paper. Now, in issuing the white paper, government rejected about 90% of the facts as established by the commission. And as a consequence of the recommendations they made to government. So the report as it is cannot, in the eyes of government, be relied upon. That's what government is saying.
You said it went outside their scope in many instances.
Yes. So as soon as they said that, then they rejected the host of the findings of fact. Not mere recommendations, but findings of fact. For a government not rejecting the recommendations, but findings of fact. So it injected in the arm some members of the national security operatives to continue to do what we see around. Now, fast forward, on the 9th of 6th January, to the dawn of 7th January 2021, when we were to be inaugurated to take office. Plainclothes men and military, you know, people only speak of the soldiers because they were uniformed. There were others, plainclothes men with guns. They stormed Parliament. As we speak, we are struggling to get an inquiry to be conducted into who commanded that group of people to storm Parliament.
Is this a matter that Parliament itself is interested in?
We are.
This is June.
Yes, we are.
It's happened in January.
We are.
You're not so upset. Is it when you're talking to us?
No, we are. And we are very angry. Because if we are unable to inquire into that matter, then there is very little we can inquire into when other petitions come. Again, there have been national security operatives activities that were largely regarded as having breached fundamental rights of people subsequently or after the January event in Parliament. And so it appears the Takwa incident, is it Takwa?
This is Asankregwa.
Asankregwa. It appears that Asankregwa incident is the last straw. So people are now, it should be. So people are now, that is why, for instance, an entity like you will want to go back to the Ayawaso Commission report and ask questions. Because because you see, once you make a finding of fact, like a court of competent jurisdiction, it is based on the facts as established by the court that judgments are entered. That is why the plaintiff will have its set of facts. The defendants will also have their set of facts. So in a typical judicial ruling, you will see that the plaintiff's case, the defendant's case. This is just narrating the story in the case as the parties will see it. Then you see findings by the court. So it is what the finders of fact will establish. Then recommendations will be made. So if a government says, I reject most of your findings of fact, they are seeking to torpedo the basis of the report. So no wonder recommendations that, for instance, certain personnel be reassigned were ignored. Because issues have happened. Journalists have been manhandled recently. National Security claims to have conducted an internal inquiry into the matter and issued a statement. We were told by that statement that persons like Azogu will be reassigned, will have to be asked to go back to the main Ghana Police Service. Now Asankregwa has happened.
Asankregwa apparently happened before the City FM.
Before City FM.
So there are suggestions that this reassignment had nothing to do with that.
Okay. So then I will sequence the issues well. So we see a certain person almost always featuring in some of these matters. But pursuant to the law and the Constitution, national security is a conglomeration of other state security institutions. It's actually a secretariat. So it's not supposed to have a standing army as it is largely described. It's not supposed to have a standing force. It's supposed to rely on other security agencies that are mandated to operate standing forces. And recently, Ghana Immigration Service has been added to that category of institutions, security agencies that can bear arms. So in a national security operation, and that has to do with border matters or immigration matters, they can rely on immigration or the police and immigration. So
isn't that what the commission was recommending? But it was rejected.
Yes, but that's the point we are making. And the commission's recommendation were pursuant to the established laws as they have reviewed them. But we continue to keep a standing army. And the dangerous thing is that they are using a lot of civilians who now have been trained to handle arms. Yes.